Alright, so here's my prototype of Space Invaders. I think the two most identifying features of this prototype are the animation and movement of the aliens and the grid of aliens itself. So we can see that the aliens are animating and moving in sync, and when they reach the edge, they move down and go in the other direction. So let's jump into the code here. Let's start with the grid of aliens. So the grid of aliens uses a PCS tree and a factory to be made. So initially a new PCS tree is created. It's passed to the factory, and then just the root of the tree is the parent of this new factory. And then we're going to make 56 alien objects, so 55 aliens and then one grid object. So we initially make the grid. It's placed into the tree and it's set as the parent. So then when we make the 55 aliens right here in this loop, they all become children of the grid. And that's useful because when we move to the animation, we can just pass one movement command to the grid to move all 55 aliens. So let's move down to the animation. So the sprite animation you can see is pretty much the same. We have the three game sprites here, squid, crab, and jellyfish. The images that we're going to be using for those are placed into the animation sprite for each one of those, and that's pretty straightforward. And then we pass the animation sprite to the timer with the interval that we want the images to swap on. So to handle the synchronizing the movement with the animation, I made a new command called grid movement, and all that does is let's actually just step into it here. Whenever execute is called, all it's doing is calling the move grid method of the alien grid. So I made a new command for the movement and passed that to the timer with the same interval as the animation of the sprites. I think right now that you could have taken another approach with the movement by putting that method inside of the sprite animation to keep it in sync. But I feel like keeping the animation and the movement separate is a good idea. I kind of like the idea of decoupling those things and having a little more control. Maybe in the future there might be way more commands and it might be a little much, and these things can be combined, but for the time being I think it works better separately. So that about covers the major features of this prototype. I know the next steps will be making sure that the grid of aliens is not just 55 siblings inside the tree. I'm going to be adding box sprites around each of the aliens so that when we start implementing the collision system, we'll have actual boxes, bounding boxes for everything. So yes, that's my prototype for milestone 1.